Hello, and welcome to the first episode of To The Max podcast. I am Dr. Max, and I'm super excited to have some amazing men here with me today. We have Dr. Jonathan Brooks and Dr. Clinton Wilson. We'll let them introduce themselves and share a little bit about themselves before we jump right into our first topic of conversation. Dr. Wilson, share a little bit about yourself.
Oh, wow. My journey of education started about maybe 16 years ago. I started out as a high school counselor, and so from there I went on and matriculated to being the supervisor of high school counselors and then the director of school counseling, and now I currently serve as the chief of student services for Winston for Caviness School.
Oh, phenomenal. Dr. Brooks, tell a little bit about yourself. And you have something exciting that you were just named, right?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. Well, I'm excited to be here. I'm Dr. Jonathan Brooks. I started in education 17 years ago. Started off as a elementary school PE teacher, middle and high school football coach, and then went on to become an assistant principal. And then now I currently serve as principal at Bessemer Elementary School in Guilford County Schools, where I was recently named principal a year.
Congratulations.
That is phenomenal. So when we're having real talk, this has nothing to do with what counties we serve and where we work. This is really about us having transparent conversations so that we hope you leave with some nuggets and some tools that'll help you serve the students that you impact every day. So a fun thing, tell us what your current hype song is and why. What gets you in the mood and gets you excited? Like when you're on your way to work or a meeting that's going to be intense, what do you listen to?
My hype song, well, currently, I'm pretty sure everyone's listening to this song right now. They not like us.
They not like us. They not like us. They not like us. They're still
I've been jamming to, prior to the Super Bowl, but after the Super Bowl, of course, it's been, infiltrated.
You crip walking too? You crip walking?
I can't really kill it. I think it was Serena.
Serena killed it.
I didn't about this. I didn't mess like you do.
Listen, awesome. Jonathan, what's yours?
Well, my school is a little different, so I don't really want to be so hyped. So now my song is more so just to mellow me out. I listen to two on my drive to work. I listen to Diamonds and Teals by Lucky. I also listen to Burning by Tim. So those that I enjoy to kind of play on rotation before I hit it up to my.
Yeah, you're trying to get yourself level before you go into whatever may impact you that day. I understand that. So I have a couple, but the one that I'm feeling right now is This Girl Is on Fire by Alicia Keys. That's kind of my motivation. I'm trying to find my fire, my mojo. And so I'm excited about that song. It's an old song, but it's always one to go back to. So thank you for appeasing me with that little SEL activity. My next question is, with the current state of affairs with our new elected officials in the White House, how are you feeling about the impact it will have on public education and the roles that we play in schools every day?
Well, for me, the main right away, the most impactful, major impacts, two right away for me, of course, with the immigration laws, with the ICE, the communities I serve, I have a lot of students and their families that are extremely concerned.
Yeah.
What that impact will have on them and their families as it relates to their immigration status. So just try to be creative with creating a safe space, as safe a space as possible,
right,
for our students and our families, to let them know that our schools can still be a safe haven and a safe space they can come and receive their education. Just being creative with how we do things with our parent meetings and events and activities so that they can still participate and feel safe without the threat of losing their ability to remain in the country. And so that's been critical.
Because I'm sure that's impacted attendance to events that you host because people are kind of nervous about coming into spaces.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you're offering alternative ways for parents to engage?
Virtual options.
Yes.
And live streaming and then recording what we can and sharing it later.
Great.
Things like that. And then the second piece is just what's on the table is just the funding component associated.
That's critical.
Yeah, with federal funding. And I know with Dr. Wilson's job that may impact, he could share a lot about how that would impact, but those would be my main two.
Yeah, I was definitely going to talk about the federal funding that could be lost, Title I funding.
Yes.
And,
critical.
all need that.
Critical.
And it's critical. I was just sharing with Dr. Maxwell earlier about there were 17 states that are thinking about doing away with 504 programming.
Yeah.
And so, okay, that's also critical for, you know, our students receiving accommodation
Yes.
and things of that nature. And then, of course, even down to grants and scholarships and stuff of that nature for our students that are trying to go pursue a 4-year institution or 2-year institution.
Yeah.
So we have to be very, very creative. I had a student that currently attends UNC Charlotte, and she was saying, what if they do away with financial aid? You know, what
That's
am I
so critical.
do? And I was talking to
Families.
right, and I was talking to her mom. Her mom was like, if you know, her mom, her dad have to get 2 or 3 jobs, they're gonna make sure that you know she finishes school. But you know, just to think about that,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous.
It's really critical, I think, because, you know, I think when you grow up with privilege, you don't understand how these programs truly impact the largest portion of our society and our children. And if we don't educate them, then what do we expect to happen, right? So it's been a very trying time, especially thinking about the middle class and how educators don't make enough. And then we're talking about increasing the deductible for families. And so the impact that that'll have on people, and we're struggling to get people to come into the field of education. So this doesn't make our work more appealing, you know, so we've got to figure out how to advocate for the role that we're doing. And so tell people to write the legislators and let them know the importance of educators. If you don't know who your legislator are, go online, find it, but advocate. The advocacy is what's truly going to make a difference for us.
Yeah, that's just on the foundational level, Dr. Maxwell, things associated with making sure the kids can eat free.
Yeah.
Lunch every day. That's huge.
A meal.
I know most of our schools are providing free and reduced lunch for our students. And the sad truth is a lot of them, that's the best. And in some sad cases, the only
meal they get, right?
And so I don't think individuals, I think you hit the nail right on that. I think people who aren't familiar with that life or just conditions associated with that, it doesn't make sense to them that a kid is relying on that free meal, that breakfast, and that lunch every day. So,
and then also staffing too, right? I mean, you do it with Title I funding. There's a lot of staff that are paid with Title I.
Yes, and we got to think a lot of staff struggle.
Yeah.
When you think about your cafeteria workers, bus drivers, like a lot of them are probably using public assistance as well. And so we think about those things. It's just really a very dire time, which leads me into our topic about culture and climate. So I want you to share with me what is culture to you and what is climate to you, and why does it matter? Because I think right now those pieces are very critical with the morale in buildings and just how people are feeling with our society currently.
Yes. So I think when I think about culture and climate, when I think about climate, I think about the overall space as a whole, and how you physically show up, your emotional things of that nature. When I think of culture, I think of your belief system, how you feel, what you were raised, what your thoughts are. But I believe wholeheartedly that culture can negatively or positively.
And we're going to get into that. Yeah.
And so it's and I'm glad we are. But yeah, that's what my thoughts are when it concerns culture and climate.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think culture includes the things that are associated with your school, your organizations, norms, beliefs, routines, how you operate in different spaces. And I think the climate is the impact or the tangible evidence of what that is. So you could have culture is going to be positive or negative. And so the climate you're going to be able to see what climate that brings based on what the culture. So if you have a positive school culture, a positive organizational culture, most times the climate as well. And that would include things like when you walk in the building, how you greet by the front office.
That makes a difference on it. Like you got the mean old lady up front. It's like when you go into any office, but think about the service that you get at a Chick-fil-A versus a Bojangles or versus a McDonald's. It's different, right? So we all have to aspire to give Chick-fil-A service every day.
For sure.
And we don't always get that.
It's climate.
Right.
Driven by the culture.
Right.
For sure.
I love it. The next question. So how does the principal, along with his staff or her staff, help to cultivate a positive culture and climate? And do you mind sharing like some explicit examples? Like we just talked about, the front office. But what about when you pull up to the campus? Is it some messaging that you got to give? Like, is it just with the staff? Is it with the children, the parents, the community? And how do you go about cultivating it, because Dr. Wilson said that a negative one is easily felt and it's not easy to overcome.
Mhm. So for me as a principal, we have what we create every year. We revisit it, and actually we do it biannually. Or we come up with what we agree to as a school staff, which are our non-negotiables, or what we will agree to do. And right now, currently, professionalism, courtesy, communication, and respect.
Can I pause you?
For sure.
Professionalism seems to be a lost thing. A lost art for anything. Like, I think we all just kind of felt that one.
Right.
So how do you agree to professionalism, and then how do you hold them accountable for being professionals?
Great question. So it takes a little time, but we do it at the beginning of the year in our first staff meeting. Then typically when we come back after the winter holiday, and we don't have a bunch of things, so just 4 or 5 main things, and then we break down into subsections of what that looks like. So specifically for professionalism, we are agreeing to be professional. So what does that look like? How we dress, showing up on time, being responding to emails
in 24 hours,
being at meetings that you've been mandated to be at.
Yeah.
Fulfilling your obligations related to instructional obligation, safety, duty, and connection obligations. So that all goes into being a professional.
I love it.
So we're not asking you to jump off the building with a cape.
Right.
We're just asking you to agree to perform in a professional manner.
Some basic norms. It's like, dress like you are the professional, like your college educators, right? Because if you look like the kids, then they might respond to you like a student.
Yeah.
So how you look and present yourself is critical.
Absolutely.
I mean, I remember back in the day when we first started teaching, you never wore sneakers to school.
Right.
Now it's a new norm that sneakers are part of the culture, right? But I think that's also a part of the hip hop impact on, the world and where we are, which is a positive, because you still can wear a suit and have your sneakers on if you're cute, right? You'd be cute and classy. The leggings thing was a huge thing for staff. The teachers wanted to wear leggings. That's not really professional if we don't want the girls to wear leggings and jeggings every day. So I think those things, but being a professional, showing up on time, if you work anywhere else, you can't show up 30 minutes late, because if you show up late, then who's supervising the children? That's a whole safety piece involved. So has your staff bought into that?
Yeah, they have. And typically what we do is part of the process is not being me or our administrative team more so dictating what it looks like. It's a collaborative process that we all can.
Collaborative, that's good.
So we frequently can bring it back and say, hey, now, part of our you've agreed that being on time is important for us as a student.
I like that.
And so part of you being a professional is being at work. Part of you being a professional is making sure that you're answering your emails. Part of you being a professional is making sure that your grades are done on time. And so we tie it back to what we've already agreed to and not what they more so been told to.
I love it. Thank you. Dr. Wilson.
I love that. I echo that sentiment as well. I love shared beliefs.
Shared beliefs. That's a good one. I'll write that down.
I love shared beliefs because you have to have some shared beliefs in order for a culture to thrive throughout your school. So all kids can learn. All children can succeed. If you believe that as a school, as a whole, as a staff, then you're going to be professional.
Absolutely.
Then you're going to show up on time. Then you're going to give your best to the students because you believe that they can succeed, and this is how we're going to get them to succeed.
I love it.
And so if that shared belief isn't shared by everyone, then you're going to see those breakdown and those barriers.
Yeah.
And it's even in leadership positions. So for instance, when I was a school counselor, I had different leaders or different APs that were over me, and there were some you were over me. Just give a little plug. That's what my first job.
When I was an assistant principal of instruction. So it's really amazing how relationships come full circle, and you have to be careful how you treat people.
Correct.
Because you never know. So Dr. Wilson, I'm a principal under his leadership, right? And so you just never know those things. And so treating people with dignity, respect, and kindness is always a thing. And I think that's a part of the professionalism that we're trying to teach.
Yes. So the culture was set by my leader at that time, which is Ms. Maxwell, over our department. And then it shifted to another leader in the building, and it completely went, a different way.
He did, you did.
It went a different way, but I just think that once you have that leadership that thrives in you or instills in you that culture of this is what we're here for, this is who we're here for, and this is how we're going to do it, and we're doing it together,
Yeah,
it makes a difference.
I agree. I've been very fortunate to have some really great mentors, and one told me, as long as you put the children first, you're doing what's right.
Correct.
And so what you did is you made our professionalism relate to the excellence that we see and believe for all of our children. And when we believe in all of our children, then these are the things that we automatically do because they'll thrive in this environment if we do. I love that. Now, we know school is good and kind, but you're dealing with all these different humans and everybody has their own personality type and each classroom or each department is its own microcosm. So what are some culture killers? And let's talk about some culture killers and how do you overcome those so that you can keep the focus on doing what's right for our kids?
School gossip. School gossip, drama, negativity, attitude or disposition of defeat. Those
Disposition of
those are some main things that could kill your culture. And so I just always bring it back to more so a reflective question. When it comes to the gossiping and your drama, how is this productive? Our vision is to nurture, inspire, grow, and progress, and to move forward with excellence. Does this conversation serve any of those purposes?
Does this conversation serve?
Does this act
Serve. I like that. Serve.
And if the answer is no, then it's not necessary. So it's an unproductive conversation, and we need to find something else to do. And then the disposition of defeat is a culture killer for sure,
Yeah.
a climate killer for sure, and that can show up in a bunch of different ways. You can feel defeated as far as it relates to a difficult student that may
Yeah,
be in your
yeah.
class, defeated as it relates to a colleague on your grade level or department that's difficult to deal with, defeat from the curriculum being tough for you to take, to be able to manage
Right.
and be able to effectively facilitate.
Yes.
But you can't have a disposition of deceit. And so we practice against that. So it's not a no. It's just a not yet. Not now.
I hate the word no. Like, let's figure out how to get to a yes. In my personal and professional life, no does not, it needs to just be out of the dictionary, the word vocabulary. I mean, unless it's a hard no because you're doing something wrong, right? But when it is about truly having a positive impact on people, then we need to figure out how to get to a yes.
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love that. Thank you, Dr. Brooks.
The lack of collaboration is really big. I might not be able to reach this student, and before I give up, maybe speak to another colleague that has been able to reach the student in the
Yes.
They have, students have their trusted adults. And one thing they used to give me was when I would bring a student to a class, the teacher would roll their eyes and be like, Lord, the students in my class now. And I'm like, first of all, you just ruined the relationship.
Definitely. Yeah.
Because the student just saw you.
And that means you already don't like me. And you don't know me.
A preconceived notion.
Yeah.
And you haven't even given me the opportunity.
Yeah.
And so my thing is that opportunity, the lack of opportunity is also a culture killer because every student deserves an opportunity.
That's good.
They should not be prejudged. There should be, no misconceptions.
Y'all dropping some nuggets in here today. I like it.
You got to make sure that you give every student the opportunity because they have the opportunity to learn. Every student should have the opportunity to learn and succeed. And so those are just some big things that I've seen in my years.
And I was just going to add another thing, which also just a lack of accountability.
That's a big one because everybody want to hold everybody else accountable, but they don't want to be accountable themselves. It's everybody else's fault. But were you supposed to be honest? And how you know that? Because you was over there being messy too.
But I was going to go in a direction with that. As a leader, when I was a young principal, a young leader, I focused more so on being liked.
Yeah.
More so on them and them appreciating me and liking being around me. And oftentimes, if I'm being completely transparent, I struggle with being able to hold them accountable in spaces that I needed to. And so
that's good though.
As I got older and learned the in your organization, in your school, they will respect you more if you're consistent with accountability and fair than if you just set out to be their friend. They don't want you to be their friend. They have friends.
Yeah.
This is their job. So I know, and if I'm being completely transparent, some of the earlier organizations I serve, I focus more so on being liked. And sometimes I drop the ball with being consistent with my accountability, and it killed my culture.
But that's a good nugget, right? Because people think you automatically know. And so when you're new at this, you think pleasing people is the role that you're supposed to sit in, because you want a good teacher working condition survey. You want a good panorama survey. You want people to think that you're doing a great job and the message to be positive about you on social media.
For sure.
Until you still find that you can't please everybody.
Nope.
So even though you think you're being liked by this group, this whole group over here is strategizing a different plan of action. So it's best to just be focused on what's best for children.
Absolutely.
Because when you're clear, concise, and consistent with your actions, then everybody will realize that you're being just. It's not about you, it's not about them, but it's about the kids. Sure. And they're the biggest people that we're here to serve. Absolutely. But I think that that's a growing process and over time. Mm-hmm. And I think also we forget that in each space you serve, the leader you show up as is also different. Because every space needs you to be someone different, right? Because if I was the same person at this school that I were at the previous 3 schools, it wouldn't have worked for me, right? Like, it would not have worked for me. But that's also a learning process that we have to go through. You guys are amazing. I mean, you guys are like doing it right now. I'm so excited that y'all are the first guest. Now,
To the max.
To the max, baby. That's what we got. Go ahead and do the plug. I like it. Okay. So my next question of you is, working in an environment, and this is not about your schools or where you serve, but have you worked in an environment that the culture and climate was so stifling that you felt the only way to save yourself was to get out? And if that happened, like, what did you do? How did you overcome? How did you maintain who you were as a person and a leader to still get the job done and not drown in that experience?
I think it's your focus. What is my focus and my purpose here? Mm-hmm. That's number one. I mean, there could be a lot of barriers or demands that are put upon you and then the culture can be stifling. But at the same time, you have to realize I'm here for a purpose. I'm here to make sure these students get what they need.
Yeah.
And so therefore, I got to look beyond all of that until I'm able to get at a better place. You know, if I want to move schools or move districts or move whatever, my purpose here right now is to work with these students and to make sure they have what they need. And so sometimes you have to diminish, or you have to not think about yourself in a situation.
That's that selflessness and that depersonalization.
Correct.
That we learn about in SEL that
Correct.
we as adults sometimes struggle with, the depersonalization approach, right? And that selflessness, because we have to realize the work that we're doing is so much not about us. Being an educator or in a public service field, it's a selfless and a thankless field. And sometimes you have to be your own biggest cheerleader. And so you said diminish myself to get to the purpose. So the purpose never changed, that I have to do what's best for students. That's good. That was some bars right there. You dropped.
For sure.
Drop the mic. Mic drop.
Sure. And for me, to answer your question, yes, I have been in a situation that the culture was toxic to the point where I knew it was best if I leave. But I took a different approach, and I looked at it more so as a personal challenge. And while I'm here, what can I learn? What can I gain in this situation that will prepare me, help me, excel me in my next space? And so I looked at it as, okay, I'm not going to be here long. But while I'm here, what is it that I'm supposed? What is it that I'm supposed to gain, to grow from this situation? And then what legacy can I leave? Because I think what's important for people to remember, and I try to tell this to young teachers, you'll never undo where you've been. And a legacy will always.
That's good. You will never undo where you've been. That's a good way to think about the past.
For sure.
The past is what it is. It's behind me.
Correct.
And I can't undo that. All I can do is try to rewrite my future.
Absolutely.
So
since you can never undo where you've been, do the best that you can do while you're there.
Correct.
So that 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, when someone says, hey, I remember when John Brooks worked here, even though it may not have been the best situation for me during that time, there could be some positive things that you can say about what I was able to do while I was here. And so I think that's important.
It's important, but it's hard too, right?
Oh, definitely.
Like that's because you learn so much about yourself in those tough moments. And you have to kind of sometimes step back and be reflective and make it not change who you are as a person or as a leader, because even though the situation is toxic, you don't have to become that situation.
No.
So I love the slogan that you don't have to become where you've come from, right? Just because you came from that experience. But what you can do with it, what I heard both of you say, is everything I experience and go through is a lesson for me to take forward and to build my capacity
Definitely.
personally, professionally, in all those ways.
For sure.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Is there anything else you would like to share about culture and climate since you have the world's attention? Because this is a really critical time right now. And I think we all sometimes can get in a space, if you watch the news, like we didn't even talk about social media's impact on culture and climate. So maybe we should hit that question first. Yeah. So what do you think social media's impact is on culture and climate? Because that's it. That's something, right?
Definitely.
I think it can go both ways, Dr.
Okay.
It can go both ways.
Okay.
Positive or negative.
Yes, it can.
And I think a lot of things are so different now
Yeah.
than when I'm sure we all started in education, because you can pick up your phone and you see so much out there. You see so much negativity.
Yeah.
You get the alerts of everything that's going on in the world.
It pushes you down.
And it pushes you down. You're like, oh,
Yes.
oh. And then you get, it weighs on you so much.
Yes.
But that can bleed over into our work.
I agree.
And so sometimes you have to put that down and say, again, we're going back to that word focus. I'm here for a reason and a purpose. And so therefore, you have to put down that phone. You can't listen to every CNN report, every Fox News report, every
Block it.
everything. Sometimes you just have to let it go.
That's just it.
Stay focused. I think that's what the world is different. I mean, you didn't have everything at your fingertips
All the time.
20 years ago.
Influence.
And so you just read the newspaper in the morning.
Yeah.
That was it.
That was it.
And that's all
And you
got.
didn't know nothing until you got home
Correct.
at 6 o'clock news, right? Now the news is all day, every day, nonstop, alert.
And it's not just us that see
Yeah.
it. Our kids
Our
see it.
children see it.
And so now we have to worry about, what are they, how are they
Yes.
affected by this? What's their mental health like? After seeing this, like you mentioned,
That's critical.
immigration laws, things that you're like, they're seeing all the news every day, people getting deported
And living in trauma,
living in trauma,
fear,
so
yeah, anxiety.
so it can bring about a lot of things, but at the same time, social media can bring a lot of positivity to
Yeah. I love the quotes. So I'm a quote queen. So I can scroll and just listen to quotes and positive messages all day and totally block out the negativity of the world. But that's also not good, because then when something happens, I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know all of this was going on in society. And so you have to find like a balance. Like my personality is so happy and jovial, and like, I think everyone's good. And so when I'm hearing all of this negativity that's happening in society, it really drains me. And I worry about the impact, like you said, it has on our children, because we go in these spaces and we're supposed to be the positive voice for them. And we're also living in a point of fear and anxiety and unknown, and the not knowing what's going to happen with all of these changes.
And we're human too.
We are definitely human, and we forget that.
And it's hard to cut that off.
Definitely.
It's hard
Yeah.
it's hard to, just say, hey, I just gotta put a mask. It's like
Right.
we wear the mask that grins and laughs and smiles. A lot of times, and it's like it's difficult.
It is.
It's difficult to go, but it's like you have to put on a whole armor
Every day.
every day.
Every day, especially when you work in such, needy environments where the trauma, the adverse childhood experiences is like it's a lived process, and they don't even know that their life is different.
Yeah, from a positive standpoint, though, because Dr. Wilson and yourself, you expressed some of the challenges, but for us, on the positive spin, just the access to information.
That's good.
We utilize, because, I've been in education long enough now where I was able to witness the influx, the introduction, and the shift
Yeah.
with all of the new social
Yeah.
media platforms. And We fought it at first.
We did.
We wanted that.
It's now AI here. Ain't no need to fight.
Can't fight nothing.
Let it go.
But the positive spin is just the access to the information that kids can have, and the ability to be able to connect recurring events, and the ability to be able to have discussions to be able to prepare them for citizenship, because that's the ultimate goal that we should be striving for anyway. So it's some challenges, some negativity, but we utilize social media just to prepare them with access to information and be able to open up the world, and they can experience and have access to a lot of different.
I mean, even have this podcast.
Yeah.
This is positivity, and so, being able to speak with educators about the current events, the current state that we're in, and sharing that to the world.
Yes.
Right? So that they can hear it, and they can say, hey, I'm going through the same thing.
Yeah.
Let me listen to this podcast so maybe I can find out how I can navigate through this.
Right.
And so...
So everything could be negative. It's really about seeing if the glass is half full or half empty. So on that note, gentlemen, you've been amazing. I think you've done an awesome job of sharing your experiences, your wealth of knowledge with me and the world. I really appreciate the relationships over time that I built with people, because that's what makes it go. Like, there's a book by Mike Schmacher. I say his name wrong all the time, but it's called Results Now. And it's about the need for collaboration in education. It's not just me in my classroom with my kids, but it's about the us and the we. And so I appreciate you taking your time. So Dr. Wilson, would you like to share any parting words?
I just want everybody that's in the field of education to be vigilant, and to be present at all times, and to make sure that you never lose your focus.
That's good.
Absolutely.
What's your at, boo?
So on Instagram, IG, is at Dr._CLIALI. Yeah. CL.
You don't know it.
ALWIL. Clint Alwill, yeah. So
Clint I Will.
Clint Alwill, because my middle name is Alvis, but it's Clint Alwill.
A-L?
ALWIL.
Okay. Clint Al Will. Acts. Okay. Got it?
And for me, since we spoke about culture and climate today, I know that there's a lot of information that comes to our school leaders, curriculum and different things like that are important. But the ultimate, if you have to invest time and energy, your school culture, dictating the climate, can set the precedent for academic success. And success overall. So I know we get bombarded with a lot of different expectations, a lot of different tasks. But if you invest the time and energy into creating a collaborative, like Dr. Wilson expressed, a collaborative shared belief and a culture system that leads to a positive climate, everything else in your school for school success will fall into place. And my @s are simple. I'm just at everything at Dr. John Brooks, no H. So at Dr. Jon Brooks on everything, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you joining us for the first recording of To The Max podcast. Yes. Follow me at EDUN To The Max. I hope to see you guys soon. Remember, your culture predicts your climate, and they will go hand in hand, working together collaboratively. And don't ever forget your focus and your purpose. We hope to see you soon. Take care. One.